He's the Slow Loris of Morning Talk Radio. It's your host, Adam Josh. Hello everyone. My name is Adam Josh, and this is the Morning Banana Show. We are at number 46. My name is Adam. This is a banana, or as we used to call them, Rabanas. So I've been having some technical difficulties this morning, and that shouldn't surprise anybody here. This is just how it do lately. What can you do? What can you do? So, I don't know, Periscope is becoming Twitter now, or Twitter is becoming Periscope, and so it's being a little bit difficult. But we're gonna figure it out. And now my phones need to be synced up and remind me of things that aren't important. Alright, everybody, welcome to the Morning Banana Show. Today I wanted to talk about, let's just get into it, that Walt Disney, the company, owns Marvel. Something that I don't know if most people know. On August 31st, 2009, the Walt Disney Company announced a deal to acquire Marvel Entertainment for $4.2 billion, with Marvel shareholders to receive $30 and approximately 0.745 Disney shares for each of Marvel that they own. 2009. So if you're wondering why all of a sudden things started changing, Disney owns Marvel right now, which is hilarious to me because Walt Disney was working with Wernher von Braun to organize and orchestrate the moon landings with Stanley Kubrick. And now, so they got the children with the cartoons, children with the kids' movies, with the Ball of Earth, and for the adults, Walt Disney is doing Marvel movies. Marvel, when you see Marvel nowadays, you really should be seeing Disney. We're thinking Disney. Isn't that crazy? Our bumper music today was This Ain't Lust, I'm pretty sure. Or This Ain't Lust, It's a Stick Up, yep. By yours truly, Adam Josh. Don't be confused, but it is actually my music. So that's how we're going to roll, I guess. I've been forced into a corner by YouTube, and I don't know what's going on with Twitter or Periscope. So, you know, I remember Vine, and then Vine got bought out by Twitter, and they shut it down, and then Periscope, you could embed it with Twitter, and I don't know if Twitter owns Periscope, or they definitely do now, but at one point they didn't, and now there's Twitter updates that are basically trying to replace Periscope. So that's what we're dealing with. It's all this nonsense of controlling content. So, you know, I'm such a little guy online, but at the same time, look at all these efforts you've seen just being a Morning Banana Show fan. You've seen all these efforts to just silence the little guy and make it difficult for the little guy to reach people. And it's like, what the hell am I doing that's so important to anybody that they have to do this type of crap to me? Like, revoke my live streaming privileges and monitor my live streams in real time for copyright violations. I can't play background music. I can't have bumper music. Just, you know, letting you know what's going on in the world. In the world of AI and high-tech stuff. You guys watch this, the Attorney General versus Mueller nonsense yesterday? You know, I ended out my day with reading about Ben Stiller going to Capitol Hill and talking about the conflict in Syria, and it kind of was a nice bow tie on my day of just watching these actors act. Civilian X pointed out to me a while ago that if you look at all these congressmen and whatnot at Capitol Hill in Washington, they're always reading notes like it's pre-prepared. And Civilian X's point is, it is all pre-prepared, and they are just actors. That's a hard pill to swallow. I'm not saying it's true, but man, the evidence is there. Some evidence. What else can we talk about? I'm just skimming the headlines of Drudge like most of your right-wing conspiracy theorist news. This is really all they do, and then they give you their own spin on it if you didn't know that. So Drudge has been good at collecting news stories that are worth talking about, whereas you look at TMZ, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, any MSM outlet, and it's like the stories are so much propaganda that it's like hard to even get a story out of it because it's so propaganda-ish. Whereas Drudge, there is some propaganda, but not as much. So look, TMZ, the headline is Joe Jonas, Sophie Turner got hitched with Elvis's help. Like, this is why you don't go to TMZ for your news in the morning. CNN, what is CNN talking about? Capitol Hill. Game of Thrones. The college scams, global reach, the Venezuelan military's leverage. This is what they're talking about. So if you go to Drudge, you get all that news plus a whole lot more in one spot. That's why most smart people will just check Drudge or something like Drudge first. There's other websites that you can check that have news like that. But anyway, another thing that I wanted to talk about was, while I have time, it's 8:36, so let's spend a few minutes on this. I'm really hard on myself, and when I fail in something that I'm trying to get done, it really bugs me, and I shouldn't be so hard on myself, but I am, and maybe some of you can relate to that. So I strive for perfection in every area of my life, and when I fall short of it, it really bugs me. Some people would call that OCD. So if you ever see that I'm kind of bummed out or whatever, it's not anything to do with you. It's mostly, or life in general, it's mostly me just being hard on myself. And it's weird. Like, in my mind, I'm the only person living my life. I'm the only one here in that sense. And sometimes I just get hard on myself. So, it could be a mental problem. Could be. I have a family history of mental illness. Anyway, moving along. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about the days of the week and the months of the calendar. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday were all named after pagan gods. And you can look up who invented the modern Gregorian calendar that we use, but it's a dragnet used to trap you into this 7-day-a-week. There's cultures that don't use a 7-day-a-week cycle, and there's cultures that don't call the days after pagan gods, like Monday after the moon, Tuesday after the god Tyr, Wednesday after Woden, which you should be, or Odin, and Thursday after Thor, obviously, Friday after Frigga or Freya, Saturday after Satyr or Saturn, and then Sunday after the sun, obviously. Sol Invictus. But what I find funny is how January and February were added to the Roman Gregorian calendar because the seasons kept showing up later and later in the year. Like, they were so dumb. They were like, hey, let's put 10 months, and then imagine winter keeps coming earlier and earlier on the calendar, and somebody's like, damn it! Why can't you do anything right? You have to add 2 months to the calendar. Let's fix it. Imagine that. Everybody's dead. Everybody gets executed. So. Yeah, so September, Sept, 7, Octo, 8, Nova, 9, Deca, 10. That's not the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th months, as you know. So everything was pushed backwards, in January and February, which are two pagan god names, were added. So we live in this dragnet, and you were born under the Gregorian Roman calendar if you're hearing my voice in the West, and so was I. So we were born into this matrix, dragnet, soul farm, prison earth. But even if we are in a prison, in a soul farm, life is what you make it. And people can be in prison on death row, and in their mind they can be happy and at peace. And other people can be projecting on them, oh, they're suffering on death row, and they're suffering, and ha ha ha, we're on the outside, they're on the inside. But if you were on the inside on a death sentence, on death row, and it is possible for somebody in that position to find peace in their mind. And so you can make peace about your life if these things bum you out. Like chemtrails, and I started noticing chemtrails in 2008. Took pictures of them in 2006 and didn't know what they were. I didn't want to talk about being bummed out. That bummed me out. Here we are in Taurus season. It's muddy, earth sign. So I had a really good dinner last night at a restaurant that decided to go vegan since the last time I was there, which I'm very happy about. They don't flaunt it around like we're vegan. The customers order these chicken burgers and whatever, and then they just bring plant-based versions of everything, which is a pretty smart idea. I guess unless some of these meat eaters had allergies, then it's not really a smart idea. Yeah, we're bringing you chicken. So, yeah. Our guests are taking a break in the GTA right now, and they'll be back. So Desiree and I, last night, instead of entertaining guests, we watched a Marvel movie. We watched, we're starting the 22 movies in order. So we watched the 22 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and we're trying to do it in order. So we watched Captain America, the First Avenger, last night. And yeah, that's what kind of got me thinking, wait a minute, something has happened to Marvel, because they have this, like, you imagine, Desiree and I were talking about this, can you imagine trying to pitch the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Avengers Endgame movies? Can you imagine trying to pitch that? Okay, I have a vision. Okay, it's going to take like 10, 11 years to play this whole thing out, but we're going to make all these movies and little Easter eggs at the credits, and then it's all going to make sense, and we're going to make everybody come together in like an Avengers movie, and they're going to fight aliens and everything. It's going to be awesome. You know, most people, if they're trying to pitch that, would seem crazy, and most people who are asking for the budget would just be turned down. Which makes you wonder, like, what happened between then and now, and I guess the answer is that Disney bought Marvel. They must have seen something there, and least of all, they saw the chance to indoctrinate the masses more for Ball Earth. And it's no coincidence that when they launch satellites or rockets from Cape Canaveral or Florida, it goes in an arc, and then Walt Disney has that arc over their logo, and the 666s and the D and the S and I think Y. There's 666s all over that Walt Disney. You know, Operation Paperclip had these the worst of the worst Nazis come to the West and start our space programs, and apparently become friends with or work with Walt Disney. It's very bizarre, the real history, which is ironic because if you watch the Captain America movie, the first Avenger movie, they talk about Hydra. It's a big theme throughout it. And they talk about Nazis and Hitler pretty openly, and the origins of the first Avenger, which is ironic because it's, like I said, being produced by Walt Disney, who worked with Wernher von Braun, who was a Nazi from the scientist. Maybe he didn't call himself a Nazi, maybe. But, so crazy. Real world history is a lot crazier than most people think. But look up who Wernher von Braun is. And look up the German rockets and how they appeared before Operation Paperclip. And then look at American rockets. It's like the exact same thing. So it's no coincidence. And, I mean, I take a little bit of a different spin on it. I take a little bit, the way I look at it is, you know, rockets are a real thing. I don't think that there are conspiracies behind rockets, and a lot of it is done with CGI, but rockets are a real thing. You can make a rocket and you can put a bomb on it or a missile or whatever you want, like a projectile. You don't need to put a lot to do a lot of harm. It's like a cannonball, but in the sky. Cannonballs are just, you know, solid steel, which can do a lot of damage. You can put any sort of projectile on top of a rocket and it becomes a bomb. I mean, the rocket itself is a bomb if it lands. Like a cannon would be a bomb. So, making rockets and firing them up into the sky runs the risk of finding out from a high altitude what the world looks like. And if it doesn't appear to be curved like the masses are told, then you can have, you know, camera evidence and mounted proof and whatever, you know, you mounted on the rocket. So that becomes a nuclear threat. It's a threat on the nuclear level to the world order. And the New World Order, the Illuminati, the Masons, it becomes a nuclear threat. So they call it a nuclear threat. Not that you're actually making nukes. There are such things as, you know, nuclear waste. Chernobyl, there's a nuclear power plant in Pickering, and that waste, you could put it in a container and mount it on the top of a missile, and you just made a nuclear bomb. You see what I'm saying? Like, they play word games, and you break it all down, and it becomes something kind of different. So, you know, Earth is flat as a pancake. I think that there's more land. And I think that it's not a coincidence that people call this a prison farm or a tax farm. Because I think in a lot of ways with the Antarctic Treaty we are being held in a certain contained area. And for what reason? There's a lot of diabolical ones, and one of them would be to profit. One of them would be to use us as an energy source and vampire off our energy. And in the end, the good news is we all die and we don't have to stay here forever. But in the meanwhile, we should probably do our best to expose this. And we need explorers. We need more explorers. You know, the original explorers went and found the lands that we all live in right now. But then something happened where they said, you know, okay, there's no more land. They stopped. It's all a ball. We figured it all out. We wrapped the known world around a ball. And look, it's all done. It's like a video game. You get to the end and you come out the top. So, don't bother looking because there's no more land. And the last people who went looking for more land became America, and we can't have that happen again because, you know, they fought for their quote-unquote independence, which is a whole other story. Why was the Corporation of the United States of America incorporated in London? Why are there, you know, these huge phallus symbols in Washington and in the Vatican? And you look at things like the Pentagon, or the fact that Washington is laid out in Masonic, you know, Baphomet worshipping owls and very weird spires. And you have like the City of London, the City of the Vatican, and you have the city of, like, the Mall of Washington, D.C., and those are like isolated isolated states from the country that they're in. It's very weird when you look at how the world is really governed. And somebody like me who just wants to know how it all works and figure out why it works the way it does, I could just spend days and days mulling this crap over. And here I am, 37, started down this road when I was 16, 17. Being woke isn't a weekend retreat, folks. And if you decide to start living these things that you learn about, you wind up like me or worse. You know, when you learn about what they do to animals and animal agriculture, you may wind up going vegan like I did. Like I said, it's not a weekend retreat for me. I'm trying to live this stuff. Follow me on Twitter at adamjosh.com. Thank you for joining me on this heart-to-heart moment of the Morning Banana Show, number 46. I had that banana, I had my coffee, I'm going to have another one. Got customers coming in 10 minutes. I don't pour my heart out to you, you know, on every show, so thank you for staying with me and enjoying it with me up until now. Take care. See ya. Also my music playing. Super Tracy, adamjosh.com.